This June, as the maritime industry observes the International Day of the Seafarer, under the theme Carrying World Trade, Carrying the Risks, we explore the human realities behind life at sea. Through the voices of maritime professionals who have lived the experience, we'll hear stories of responsibility, sacrifice, resilience, and the pressures that come with keeping global trade moving. I sat with Officer Seychelle Bailey, a third engineer who previously served aboard Carnival Cruise Lines and now works as a logistics officer at the CMU's Faculty of Marine and Nautical Studies. She shares how a real life emergency at sea changed her perspective and reflects on the sacrifices, resilience, and mental strength required to thrive in the profession. Hi, Miss Bailey. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
It is our pleasure. I'm so excited to have this conversation with you and to just hear more about the seafarer's experience and your journey. And so, my first question for you would be, can you remember a moment on board that made the realities of life at sea feel real for you?
Okay, so thanks again for having me. A moment on board that made the realities of sea feel real to me would have been when my vessel that I was on at the time endured a huge hit to the side while we were in bad weather in Oterius. So that would be in 2024. So during this experience, it would be like a real life emergency. This experience helped me to rely more on the resources that were available on board and help me to manage a situation that truly happened, like importance of putting safety first. And it also showed me the value of remaining calm, mentally strong, and composed during challenging times on board.
Okay, I know that we've just jumped into your experience at sea, but just bringing it back a little, can you tell us, you are a seafarer, but what type of vessels do you operate or do you work on? Where is your experience at sea?
All right, so during my entire career to this date, my experience has solely been on cruise ships.
And what is your position, your title?
So I'm a third engineer on board.
Okay. All right. So before going to sea, though, what did you think the profession would be like? And then when you went to sea and you gained the experience, what surprised you most once you had that like first-hand experience?
Well, there's not much, but before going to sea, I expected the work to be extremely difficult and that I would feel isolated with very limited ways of communicating with family and friends. But once I experienced sea firsthand, I realized that although the work was indeed difficult, it was hard. I was able to communicate regularly with families and friends because at that time technology had developed and we were able to have good internet service out there.
Okay.
To communicate.
So you're able to keep in contact with your loved ones.
Yes. So it helped me to adjust to the work and life on board since I was able to debunk or de-stress and talk to family and friends about my experience, and they had advice to give me. So it helped a lot with just adjusting with life on board.
Okay. So like what did you expect it to be? You expected it to be harder?
Yes.
Did you expect it to be isolated?
Yes, I was expecting like when I go on board because once I join CMU, you'll have CMI at the time. You have officers who come and they give their experiences on board, and at the time, their only means of communicating were through emails. Yes, so there wasn't any Wi-Fi connection on board. But once I finished my 4 years, as I said, technology had advanced. So once I went out there, yes, there was a few moments of isolation, but you get to communicate with family and friends once you get to your cabin and in your personal time. So
Okay. All right. So following up on that, what are some of the pressures or sacrifices that people rarely see behind cruise operations?
um, some of the pressures and sacrifices people rarely see behind cruise operations would be like some of the near misses that we successfully manage, meaning that there are times where a machinery may give an issue that can cause something major, but we get to the issue or the problem immediately, and that would help in mitigating the issue at hand. Another sacrifice that most persons on cruise would not see is the sleep that we lose while addressing these issues, because some of them um, can last up to 24 hours or even more if we cannot rectify the issue on our own. And to get persons on board also to help us with the situation, online calls, staying up late, they are not exposed to these sacrifices that happen behind the cruise, just so they can have a great experience, and also their safety is at the forefront of our operations.
Okay, so looking back, how do you believe CMU prepared you for those realities, and what only became clear for you once you were like at sea?
Well, CMU prepares in many ways. I'd say even outside of like life at sea or personally, but CMU prepared me for the realities of sea through its paramilitary training. Um, this training, it taught me discipline, great time management, professionalism. It enhanced my confidence, and also it taught me the importance of physical fitness. So once I went to sea, I applied each of these qualities, and they made both my personal life and my work life much easier on board.
Okay, so was there like an experience that you had where you could be like, yeah, man, thank God I was doing all that I was doing at CMU?
Yes. As it relates to physical fitness, that would be one major thing that stood out to me as being able to work downstairs under high pressure, moving back and forth from forward to aft at very high speed just to get to to do an operation and to get to another part to do something else. It really opened up my eyes to realize that physical fitness was very much important. Time management, also being able to be on time or early for the handover of watch, because some of my team members, they failed to follow these rules and they get reprimanded for that, and that was not an issue for me to be on time for work.
Okay, so how was your sea experience? How has your sea experience shaped the way you now guide and support the cadets that you interact with at CMU?
All right, so my sea experience has shaped the way how I support and guide cadets by allowing me to share my experiences with them and help them to understand the importance of the training and how it can ultimately make their life easier at sea. The reality is that if you do not adapt well to structure and discipline, adjusting to a life at sea can be very hard.
Okay, was there one, can you pinpoint like a lesson that you would have learned at sea in your experience that you ensure like when you meet a cadet is something that you try to like pass on to them?
Yes, so there's a common instance where females in particular might feel that when it's that time of the month that they'll get a day off or a time for themselves to recuperate. And I try to explain to them that the life out there is not like the ones like one on land, where in a case where it's that time you'll get time off, you'll be put to work 7 days a week and you have to fill your part. And if you're out sick for long periods, they'll send you home. So I try to relay such it's a very important part of our journey, because it's a part of us. And I just want them to understand that they'll have to be double strong or super strong during that time, because there is no leniency or anything put in place to help them during that time.
All right, so the theme for the International Day of the Seafarer this year is carrying world trade, carrying the risks. I want to ask you, for you, what does this mean to you now that you would have gone to sea, you would have had the experience, and I'm sure you'll be going to sea in the future?
Yes. So. All right, so carrying world trade and carrying the risk. Ships carry most goods, or we trade about 80 to 90% of goods in the world, so such as food, fuel, vehicles, etc. And we make world trade possible. Carrying the risk, it simply means that seafarers oftentimes enjoy risk, like harsh weather, like what I enjoyed during that time in Ocho emergencies, near misses, long periods away from home, and the list, goes on. And among other challenges, it's used to ensure that in this time that the goods reach their destination safely. So it would really mean to me that there's an importance that is put on us as seafarers, and others not seeing the sacrifices and the responsibilities of people who work at sea. So as seafarers, we have the responsibility of being the main means of transporting goods across the world. And with this responsibility comes many risks. And it is our duty to ensure that these goods are transported safely so that global trade can continue efficiently.
Okay, not a problem, and we are so grateful for that. But I know that we're winding down, we're wrapping up the conversation, but I want to just end by asking, what do you hope students understand about the profession before they leave CMU?
Okay, so I'd hope that students or cadets, that they'd understand that becoming a seafarer requires many sacrifices. They will spend long periods away from family and friends, and may miss many important events and special moments at home. Some of them may not have been exposed to the type of demanding lifestyle that comes with the job, which means that being adaptable is very important. This also means that to be successful in this profession, you have to be intentional about how you care about your duties and about your studies and your training. Mental strength is also very important to showing up for yourself, because you may not have that support out there. So I hope they'll take that into consideration.
Okay. All right. Seychelle Bailey, thank you for having this conversation with us. I looked forward to the conversation. It was very enjoyable. So thanks again for sitting with me.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.